On today's show, the Dallas Mavericks get a win in the NBA Finals, completely turn it around, blow out the Boston Celtics. How did they make it happen, and how did Luka Doncic step up to the challenge? Talk about all that and more in today's
Locked On Mavs.
I'm Luka Doncic, and this is Locked On Mavericks.
Mavericks, NBA champions. He hits! Bang! It's good! And the Mavericks have won the game!
If you don't believe, you shouldn't be here.
Loyalty never fades away.
And welcome. You're locked on to the Dallas Mavericks. My name is Nick Angstadt, media member and NBA channel manager for Locked On Podcasts Network. Your team every day, where we let it ride.
I can hear this time. I'm on beat.
It's because the Mavs have a heartbeat.
They do.
The Mavs' heartbeat is alive in the NBA Finals. Thanks for being part of the show, making Locked On Mavs your first listen today. Best way you can help us grow the show. Listen every day. Leave a 5-star review. Like the video on YouTube. Comment anything below. Let us know how sharp does Reggie look right now.
He looks wicked
Literally
smart.
putting us to shame on here.
Wicked smart.
Wicked smart look from Reggie Adetula.
He looks great.
This episode is brought to you by PrizePicks, the easiest, most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Go to prizepicks.com/LockedOnNBA. Use that code, all lowercase, LockedOnNBA, for our first deposit match up to $100. Joining me, as always, on the postgame from the great Slightly Biased YouTube channel. What you got for me, Slightly Biased?
Well, look, I come at this show from the fan angle, right? Obviously. Nick's the analyst. Reggie's also the analyst and the fashion icon as well of the show. Look at him. Come on.
If you're not listening, I look good.
Right. You need to
or if
tune
you're not
into,
viewing, I guess.
Confirmed.
Right, yes.
Confirmed.
If you're not on YouTube, you need to tune into the YouTube immediately to see what's going on over here. And they're not even seeing the whole ensemble either.
That's right.
That's what's sad about the whole equation.
Just good all over the place.
Yeah, you have to get that part in person.
Yeah, that's true. That's the in-person thing. But
Pay those ticket prices.
That's right.
True. But as the fan perspective, why not us?
Let's go.
Someone's got to do it.
And flanked to my left, we've already talked about how good he looks. What you got for me, Reggie Adetula from 105.3 The Fan?
THA's back, baby.
Oh, Timmy.
We won't talk that much about Tim Hardaway Jr. Except
Why
his,
not?
His
Yeah,
game
why?
makes 100% sense to me, and we'll talk about it in the one more thing that Reggie and I will do later that I didn't tell him about. So
All right, I guess.
we'll do that.
The city's on fire. It needs me.
We'll do
They
that.
know I'm out of here after
A
this
little bit
podcast
later.
ends.
We'll talk about how the role players stepped up in this one, how the Celtics offense looked absolutely putrid in this game, and how much the Mavs did to deter them. But I got to start here, guys. An NBA Finals win deserves to let it ride a little more.
Are you serious right now?
It's the
City's
NBA
on fire,
Finals. You
baby.
never know when you're going to be back. Let's be happy about it. Let's
The
have
night
fun.
is young. What we gonna do?
We got to start here, gentlemen. Luka Doncic, after Game 3, had the most criticism. You and I slightly stood here in this very spot, talked about how his play was unacceptable, talked about how he didn't play defense, didn't step up to the plate, didn't do the things that the Mavs absolutely needed him to do to win a game in the NBA Finals. Kyrie had stepped up. He had come back. He had returned to form. He had bounced back. But Luka didn't do it on the defensive end in any way, shape, or form. And in
Right.
this game, he accepted the challenge.
Yeah, and I mean, kudos to him, man, because he was moving his feet much quicker than he was in the previous games, and he obviously took pride in playing defense tonight. Now it does raise the question where it's like, okay, could this not have come in Game 3, which would have been a much more pivotal moment for this to come?
Is he still injured?
Right. Yeah, well, exactly. But you do have to give kudos to Luka because obviously he was the scapegoat for the media all the past 2 days, the last 48 hours. Everyone was going in on him. Everyone was grilling him. I mean, it was the talk of every single national sports show that there was Luka Doncic's defense. And he came to play tonight, and I thought he was really, really good defensively. And this is where Mavs fans get upset because that's pretty much what we've seen for most of the postseason, where these blow-by numbers, that this is a stat I have never even seen circulated ever. I've never seen this stat ever. And
it's the stat where how often some offensive player blows by a defensive player. And so it's like the percentage. And Luka's at like 60% or something these last couple games.
I posed a question on my video yesterday where I was like, I don't know what that stat means because the Mavericks defense has obviously been, we will funnel guys into rim protectors.
Yeah, it's like,
and we will rotate off of that. And then people in the comments are like, no, that funneling doesn't constitute as a blow by. Where I'm like, I don't know what this stat means. Like,
how do they decide?
Right,
They just go one by one?
Defensive stats in the NBA are so wonky. They are so incredibly wonky that I never put any stock into any of them at all. And I'm not like really defending Luka's defense up until this point. It wasn't really good at all in the first 3 games of the series. And it was really good tonight, and I thought Luka was really good tonight. I thought he set a tone. I thought that he was just focused on playing basketball. And you saw Luka Doncic do Luka Doncic things. You saw Kyrie Irving do Kyrie Irving things. Oh, my God, the plus-minus just threw me off.
Yeah, it's crazy. You start looking at that right side of your screen, and it gets real wild.
I thought that was points for a second. I was like, Maxey, 25 points. What did I miss in this game?
Yeah, I mean, the plus-minus gets wild. But, yeah, defensive stats in the NBA are really tough because it's hard to kind of quantify these things, and so they require a lot of context.
Yes.
And so with this, we talk about blow-bys, and you mentioned one of the contextual points that you have to talk about with the Mavericks with blow-bys is that a lot of times they're funneling into a center, a backstop for their defense. The thing that the Celtics do with that 5 out is that they've pulled that backstop out.
Absolutely.
And that's why these blow-bys were issues in this series thus far. The thing that the Mavericks did a lot very well, and Luka obviously contributed, but everybody came in, they made sure to stay in front of the opposition. The Celtics were not able to turn that corner nearly as well. You saw Jayson Tatum frustrated by it. You saw Jaylen Brown frustrated by it, and that was really pivotal. Early on, it almost felt like they were running like a really weird loose zone, like a 3-2 where your two on the back line are peeling out. So they really tried to stop the corners, and I thought this was one of the big things for me after last game. And it really hit me because Lively said this, and I'm not even sure if I heard it right. I still need to go back and check. The game plan was to give up twos, give up the rim, make sure they take long twos, and stop corner threes. And I was like, they took 18 corner threes. You didn't stop anything.
So, you either didn't do it or that wasn't what the plan was.
Right. And so my thought was take something away. And in this game, before stopping them driving, which obviously led to a lot of driving kicks, this team in the Celtics didn't get up any corner threes for a long period of time. And if they did, I mean, I'll have to go back and check, maybe 3, 4. Like, I mean, when we talk about the actual game time before it gets to garbage minutes, like
just the entire fourth quarter.
This team defensively came to play. There was a level of desperation that was different than Game 3. Game 3 felt like desperation in a wayward way. This felt like desperation funneled and channeled, and especially defense. You saw them on the floor early. You saw them really laying out, and that, I think, was what got the Mavericks the win here.
And that's what Slightly said. Luka stepped up to the assignment, and Luka was the one that took all the crap, all the hate, if you want to call it that, afterwards. I mean, you can listen to some of the soliloquies and rants that people went on afterwards, and we even talked about talking about the rants yesterday on the show with Dana. But Luka stepped up to that challenge, and it starts with him. It starts with him taking on that and saying, I'm going to hold on to my spot. I'm going to hold on to where I am. I'm going to be the one that's accountable for my mistakes, for the guys that blow by me, and not make silly fouls. And yes, I will be the first one to say, the refs let them play in this. This is a physical game. Scott Foster, call in the extender if you want, but he let them play very physical on both sides of the ball. And Luka was able to just be so effective and getting to the rim, getting to his spots, hitting jumpers, missed all 8 of his threes, right?
Luka did. Yeah, Luka and Kyrie. I didn't even know this until someone said it afterwards, but Luka and Kyrie combined were like 1 of 16 or something from 3.
From 3. This was not a game. You look at the end result of this game, and you look at the box score, and you would go, oh, the Mavs just hit a bunch of threes and shot 40% from 3. No, this Mavs team did not hit 3. So for all the people that are saying
1 of 14, Luka and Kyrie.
For all the people that are saying, well, the Mavs, if their role players hit threes, then they win games. It's like, that is not what happened in this game at all.
Well, it's not even necessarily about volume. It's timely. Because this is what happened with the Celtics as well.
I mean, that's just points in general.
Absolutely. But then, in addition to it, right, the offensive side of this, because the offense had not been sufficient enough for the Mavericks.
Right.
And this
not
is
at all.
I want to come back to Luka. Luka and Kyrie, obviously, you have to kind of pair them together because they're the offensive engine. I talk a lot with the Celtics about staying on mission.
Yep.
Luka and Kyrie stayed on mission.
They did.
Yeah.
Paint touches was the name of the game, and they were getting down there with purpose. And Luka obviously is the leader of that. Kyrie followed in well with that. That was able to get them going because knocking down threes, they had some kickouts, but it was a lot of get downhill, get to the place, don't be denied, and get easy buckets in the paint.
And a lot of expanding on your point, a lot of early attacks. Just attacking mismatches immediately. We're not sitting around and waiting. We're just going to attack immediately. And I want to also expand on a point Reggie made earlier because that was a great point. A lot of really smart basketball people I've been following on Twitter all postseason long have basically said it looks like the Mavericks run a zone defensively just because of how they play and their peel switches and all of these things. And I'll agree with Reggie. I was up there tonight. I was like, it almost looks like they're playing a zone. Like it looked a little bit more focused on zone defense tonight. And I'll have to go back and watch. I don't know, just from in person, though. It did kind of look like they went a soft zone or something.
But it's kind of
a lot of switching.
It's kind of like in baseball
Yeah.
where you have the shift. It's like almost like they're shifting because they do shift Lively into the paint a little bit, and then he kind of teeters back and forth to make sure he doesn't get that 3 second. And then he's the one that has to rotate to that corner to go help on it if it's Horford or even Pritchard or whoever else is set up in that corner. And so it is different, but I think the big thing in this one is that Luka stepped up to the plate. Luka's the one that came out and was much better in this game.
Some of these stats are crazy.
Still had the same offensive impact that he's had, but he was much better. I felt like he complained less to the refs.
Sure.
Just a focused Luka from all this. So coming up, let's talk about how this game was won. They got to a 48-point lead, guys, at a certain point. So we'll talk about how that happened for the Mavericks coming up. Today's episode is brought to you by Prize Picks. Prize Picks is daily fantasy made easy. Go ahead and check out Prize Picks and see what's available for you. All you have to do is go to prizepicks.com, log in, and you can make it a deposit up to $100. And if you use that promo code LOCKEDONNBA, use that promo code LOCKEDONNBA for a first deposit match up to $100. And you pick 2 to 6 players and more or less on their stat projections. You could do it for the NBA Finals. It continues on for the Dallas Mavericks. You could do it for the Dallas Wings in the WNBA or any WNBA game you want. You can do it for the Texas Rangers. You pick multiple different players. You can spread it across multiple different sports, too. It's super fun to try it. And right now, you can turn $10 into $1,000 in a single game watching your favorite sports. Go to prizepicks.com/LockedOnNBA. Use that code LockedOnNBA for first deposit match up to $100. That's prizepicks.com/LockedOnNBA.
My first shot, my first play.
Thanks, everybody, for hanging out with us on Locked On Mavs, being part of the show, part of the Raccoon Squad, listening every day. We appreciate each and every one of you for checking out the show. It's the three-man weave here on Locked On Mavs. I got slightly biased to my right, Reggie Adetula to my left. Great stuff from the Dallas Mavericks. They get a win. We'll take it. Mavs got out to a 48-point lead. Slightly. How did it happen?
Well, it was like Reggie said earlier, the stars really came out to play and just sort of asserted their will almost immediately. And we've talked about how those two doing that just gets everybody else going. But the role guys I thought were really good today.
Amazing.
The Mavs shot 40% from three. They made 15 threes, but honestly,
not until the fourth quarter.
I'm about to say, I'm about to look at the fourth quarter stats because
just take Tim Hardaway out.
I was about to say, Tim had, I don't even know, Tim Hardaway Jr. went 5 of 7 from 3 in the fourth quarter. That was one of the more magical moments I've seen in person.
Well, it was 5 for 5 at first.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, it was.
Just classic
and then
Tim.
The heat checks started going up.
In Tim's defense, anytime he touched the ball, the crowd was just going nuclear. Like,
and that's anytime he touched the ball, literally on 94 feet of the basketball court.
Oh, yeah.
He hadn't crossed half court, and people wanted him to put it up.
I think his 2 heat checks, he grabbed the rebound and brought it up, and he was going to shoot. So
you knew he was going to shoot the whole way,
but
too.
That was actually really cool to see. I mean, when you're down 3-0, you know, there's just a feeling in the air, and you could feel. I felt it walking into the arena where it's like, oh man, like
it was down.
Right, it was. It was like, even if we win tonight, historically speaking,
the crowd was honestly 40-60. Celtics fans?
There was a lot of green.
There was a lot of Celtics fans.
There was a lot of green, but then don't think about the Celtics fans that didn't show up in like green shirts.
Right,
but
true.
just looking around, and when they introduced the Celtics for warm-ups, it was loud.
It was loud.
Here.
And you guys can go look at my media on Twitter. My section was probably 80%, and I'm not exexaggering.
No,
probably 80% Celtics fans, and it makes me feel really good deep down because I heard some of them talking, and they're like, "Dude, I paid $1,100 to come to this," and I'm like, "Yeah, good, get out of here, see ya, buddy."
I think the start of this game, to go back to the how
offense. My bad.
It was 10-11. Mavs were down 1 with 6:36 left in the first quarter. It was a little slow start to go. And then something happened that made me cackle so loud that people in my media section started looking around to see who was the person laughing so maniacally and loud. Derrick Lively hit a corner 3.
That's right.
That was that early?
The first 3 of his entire career was in the NBA Finals. He's the youngest player to hit a 3 in the NBA Finals, too, which is absolutely wild. But he hits that 3. He goes on and gets a block that didn't get counted, but it was an alteration of a shot. Then he gets an alley-oop on the other end. And, I mean, that, to me, sparked the run for the Dallas Mavericks, Reggie. Like, that's what really got them going. It was an insane thing that Lively just got out to the corner and Luka just kicked out to him.
Yeah, and go ahead.
Well, okay, I'll let you go, but I'll say, y'all remember at the live show, somebody asked us, they said, what would be crazier in the finals, Luka dunking or Derrick Lively hitting a 3?
That's correct.
Remember that?
Yeah,
somebody asked that in the live show, and we were like, Derrick Lively hitting a 3 easily would be the most insane thing.
As Kevin Garnett once said, anything is possible.
Anything is possible.
No, hold on. It's bad vibes.
Wait, okay.
He said that after the Celtics won the title.
Right, well.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I should have picked literally anybody else. My bad. Going back to the offense.
You got so scared right there. Slightly was like, oh my God, did I just get canceled?
I did not think that. That's my favorite. That's one of my favorite gifts.
I'm close enough to see his eyes past the sunglasses.
They're beautiful. That's what most of you don't understand.
That's what makes the show go, honestly.
If I took the sunglasses
being able
off,
to see the eyes.
It's like Cyclops, but like for handsomeness.
So the offense.
So Lively's corner three, I think, kick-started that whole run, that whole sequence from him.
Like, honestly, I know, and maybe I take Luka for granted. We talked about how Luka was locked in. For me, the feeling was everybody on this team was locked in.
Yeah,
the details, the attention to detail, being in the right place, the energy that people came with. And, of course, Lively hitting that corner three, something that was mythical, but we know he takes those. Like, I think it all came down to this team was in this place where, like, all hands on deck, we have to do everything. And it was really the details, setting incredible screens, making sure that, when you were running, you're running hard, getting to the point that you need to. And I thought that all of those things created the energy that was necessary to knock down a shot or two here and there, but to set screens, get downhill, stay on mission again. And, obviously getting the young man going was a great thing as well, because then they wanted to continue to feed him. And there was multiple times where he had like those gorilla dunks, those ones where it looks like
huge,
he's trying to bring down the rim. And all those things kept the building going, but kept those guys going and kept them wanting to be able to give that energy. Because you guys have played basketball, those tough plays, those aren't the easiest ones to make, but when you're feeling it, when you know that that's going to continue to lead to good things, it keeps you going, and it was evident that was helping in this game.
Yeah, and that's the start. Those are your two best players opening that door, and the role guys saying, all right, we're following. We're following those two. And I thought Lively was incredible last game as well. Like, I thought that kind of got lost in the Mavericks losing and going down 3-0, and his energy tonight was incredible. I mean, this dude just continues to just blow me away, honest to God, where – almost after every playoff game, it's like I have to question what his ceiling is as a player, because it's funny, because if this was Lively's ceiling, if you went and told Mavericks fans that a guy will have a double-double in a finals game. Right, this is who Dereck Lively's going to be 7 years from now, we'd be like, okay, that was a great draft pick. We would have said that during the NBA draft, and this is what he's doing as a 20-year-old rookie in the NBA Finals. It's just absolutely incredible. And yeah, it was just top to bottom. I mean, there's not a lot to complain about in a game where you're up 48 points at one point.
Is there?
There's just not a lot.
Dereck Lively, I thought, just embodied what you were talking about with the put your head down and run. Run. Get back on defense. Take care of the little things.
Tip the ball out.
That tap out.
Oh, my goodness.
He had 12 rebounds, 7 offensive them, and a bunch of those Tyson
13
tap outs.
offensive rebounds
and
for
you
the
know,
Mavericks.
Look at the rebound numbers in this game, and they are astonishing.
7 offensive rebounds for Lively?
Celtics missed a ton of shots in this game, but he tapped them all back. And Tyson Chandler was in this building just so excited for him. Did you see the videos of the clips of him? Anytime Lively did something in Game 3, he was just upstanding like he was his dad.
That's so precious.
Just the greatest. It's one of the greatest Mavs stories and things
that we've
got to experience this season is the bringing in of Lively, the fact that the Mavs got totally torched for tanking those 2 games to get him. Then you bring him in, and then even myself was questioning, well, is he going to play G League games? Is he going to be ready?
Yeah.
I said all those stats at the beginning of the offseason of hey, rookie center has not played 25 minutes on a 50-win team since Yao Ming or since Al Horford. It just doesn't happen. Mm-hmm. And that now he's playing in the NBA Finals. It's absolutely amazing to see what this guy has done, Reggie.
Plus, it's really fun. An additional level is, a star rise is great if it's just straight up, but it's even better if there's hitches in the road. And even in these finals, we saw that. It looked like this was a big moment for him. It looked like he was dropped on a NASCAR track. It was just fast for him. You've seen it slow down for him, and that's so incredible because, again, you said, months ago, we wouldn't have thought that this was ever possible, and you see the way that he continues to hit something and then traverse that obstacle and get better and better. And this is year 1. There's only time can tell how high he can go with his talent.
I mean, was it you that tweeted out who's the first player to hit their first career 3 in an NBA Finals game? That's actually a great question.
I think it was Follow that tweeted that. I was thanks for confusing me with Follow.
Well, yeah, you're welcome, man. You're a superstar here.
What a great guy.
It's funny you said the people are getting mad about the draft thing because I saw Kevin O'Connor and Bill Simmons walk out of here.
I also saw Matt Moore today.
Oh, well.
Good friend of the show, Matt Moore.
The Hell's version of the 3-man weave.
John Hollinger, Matt Moore, and who's the other one?
The Nightmare, Bill Simmons.
Wait, why'd you throw Hollinger? He said Kevin O'Connor.
I did say Kevin O'Connor. I was just
sorry.
I don't know
John.
if Kevin O'Connor said
I saw
that.
Hollinger here, and he's been a Mavs hater, too.
Okay.
Okay, well, I guess not. Sorry, John. I don't know.
Who is not a Mavs hater here today? Can we find somebody? Was Legler here? Where's Legs?
Perkins was just down there
Perkins was
somewhere.
here, Stephen
Oh,
A.
yeah. Where's
Woj is sitting
Legler?
right here.
We need Legler's energy.
we do need it.
What, controlled and
yes.
focused?
Yes. Analytical and sound.
Yeah, smart.
Called the Mavs. All right, coming up, let's talk about these role guys because I could not have guessed that all of a sudden the role guys for the Mavericks would look so lost like they did the first 3 games and come back and actually play competent. Let's talk about how that happened and more coming up. Today's episode is brought to you by LinkedIn Jobs. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the qualified candidates you want to talk to faster. It's not just another job board. They have a vast network of more than 1 billion professionals, which makes it the best place to hire, gives you access to professionals you can't find anywhere else. LinkedIn does all that while making the process easy and intuitive. If you're a hiring manager or you manage a small business or you own a small business, you know that you have so many different hats you have to wear. You have to worry about your product. You have to worry about how it's getting in and out. You have to worry about time cards. You have to worry about all little things like that. Hiring is one of the most important things that you can do, and so why leave it up to yourself to go through all those different applications and see if you miss somebody? With LinkedIn Jobs, they help you find that, and they have a new feature they just launched to help you write job descriptions, making the process easier and quicker. 2.5 million small businesses use LinkedIn for hiring. Post your job for free at LinkedIn.com/LockedOnNBA. That's LinkedIn.com/LockedOnNBA to post your job for free. Terms and conditions, they do apply.
Shut it down! Oh, no! Let's go home!
All right, Slightly. All right, Reggie. We're here. We're talking about the Mavs win. I didn't even say the score. 122-84.
A lot to a little.
For the Dallas
That's the
Mavericks.
answer.
They hold the Celtics to 21 points in the first quarter, 14 points in the second quarter, and then Joe Mazzulla ended the game, basically, called it with 3:18 left in the third quarter.
That's right.
That's
the
crazy.
entire fourth quarter was garbage time, and that's why a lot of these stats for the game don't even really matter, guys. But
Except for Tim Hardaway Jr.
Except for Tim Hardaway
Yeah.
Jr. But what does matter is the role guys. And starting with Dante Exum slightly, he is the guy that was just unplayable. Not just the finals, the whole playoffs.
Yep.
And now he steps up in this moment. I thought he was huge in this game.
I mean, he was awesome in this game. And honestly, it's why I kind of pinned him as somebody who might have to play more in this series just because of the Celtics defensively, what they're able to do. You just need smart decision makers on the basketball court, and that's who Dante Exum has been all season long. And unfortunately, it hasn't been there for most of the postseason. But he's picked a very good time to turn it around. I don't know if it's too late for the Mavericks. You know, no team's come back down 3-0 ever in the NBA playoffs.
We don't have to talk about that today.
But hey,
that's for another.
But hey, some teams have come back down 3-1.
Okay.
That is the thing.
All right.
That is true.
I like what we're doing here.
A team Kyrie Irving's been on has come back down 3-1.
It's 3-1 right now.
It's 3-1 right now. Don't let us get
Ipso facto.
Don't let it come back here for a game 6. I'm going to tell you right now. It's going to be a zoo in here.
I don't know what that means.
Okay.
Well, I'm going to tell you right now. There's not going to be that many Celtics fans in here.
I was going to say, how many Shamrock display names do you think we have in the comment section today?
Right now, you're lucky you got one. But then they're going to start by saying this. Reggie looks wicked smart, but you're lucky you got one.
That's a wicked smart look, Reg.
That's right. I appreciate it.
Wicked smart look. Dante Exum was absolutely great in this game. Maxey came back from the dead and was able to be played too.
Yeah, man. Look, I think it was there was a vibe that you started getting. Like, again, when you're doing all the dirty work, it kind of comes around. But Exum, I think, started this in last game, and I was perplexed, super perplexed as to why
we all were.
Jayson Kidd only gave him 3 minutes after the day before
the dunk.
Being asked about Dante Exum and the way that he had played with Luka and Kyrie, and he was like, yeah, I think he worked well, and we need to find him more minutes. Those more minutes were 3 minutes last game, and those were all in the first half. I think the kid might have identified that and looked and saw that gave a level of respite and reprieve to Luka and Kyrie, and he came in and he continued that. I mean, he knocked down some above the break threes, which is something that we've seen him do during the course of this season. He's knocked down a few game winners in that fashion. And I thought that was a big thing. You mentioned they didn't knock down a lot of threes, but timely ones. PJ Washington is one of those guys that knocks down those above the break threes. He knocked down, I think, 1 or 2 of those. And then Exum as well. And I thought that was another reason, or another way that they kind of got some things going, because in addition to getting downhill, when you get when you're making the Boston Celtics take the ball out of the basket, that also helped all these things along. So it really was timely contributions, but great energy, great effort, and the right role players on the court as well. I think Jayson Kidd deserves a little bit of credit there.
No,
as well.
for sure.
Sure. For playing and coaching panicked, I thought, last game, just trying to find something, sticking to something to the wall. He stuck to what had worked before. I mean, you didn't get a ton of Derrick Jones Jr., but you got Maxey, you got Lively, you got, you got the normal amount of minutes, but I think the role players just stepped up. Josh Green, I think, defended his Aussie off.
Josh Green was awesome in this game.
Absolutely great.
Absolutely
energy
awesome.
guy in the highest order.
Yes.
And he's always that, but he really took it up rather to a new
you could
level.
definitely feel it tonight.
I was throwing eyes slightly because former Mavs coach Avery Johnson is sitting right over there. I was like, we should get Avery Johnson on.
I thought you were talking about the guy picking up popcorn. I was like, yeah, I'd eat some, I guess.
That's very mean to say about Avery Johnson.
No, because my eyes were diverted down here. I didn't realize that Avery Johnson was in the press box over there.
But we should
shout out to Avery Johnson, man, my childhood coach,
former finals coaching.
That's right,
coach
2006. I'll never forget it. I cried.
You did?
Of course, man. I was 10 years old. There's nothing wrong with that.
You would cry today still.
I have to be honest with you guys.
He almost cried last night.
I was fighting back tears. Just when the Mavs were down 21 in Game 3, the financial repercussions of everything just hit me like a brick. I was like,
you were Tiger King in that moment?
Yes.
I will never financially recover from this.
Yes, I was. And it made me feel good tonight because I know all the Celtics fans around me had that same feeling. And I was just looking around like, it sucks, doesn't it, guys?
But I did love that the Mavs came out and they played for their fans, right?
Yeah,
like
that's true.
True.
This is something that we talked about, and I know that on 105 Through the Fan, one of the questions we asked is, if you're going to lose, does a sweep matter? And I think it matters to the fans.
Absolutely.
And you could tell that the players, they had that respect for the fans and obviously for themselves because they know that 3-0 does not represent the matchup between this Mavs team and this Boston team.
Great point.
And they respected themselves. They respected you, the Mavs fans, and they came out and they played with that level of intensity and urgency.
Yep.
He's kind of been a footnote now in 2 games, in a win for the Mavs and then the game the other night. But Kyrie Irving is like back to doing Kyrie Irving things. He only had 21 points, but played 30 minutes. He had 6 assists too in this one. 10 of 18 for the field. Just got the Kyrie shots that he's been getting, hit them, and made a couple of plays in the middle of it. I thought Kyrie gave them just exactly what they needed in this game. And I feel like he stepped up on defense too. There were times when Tatum would try and step up to him and be like, all right, I've got Kyrie switched on to me. And the whole Boston offense can be described in I'm going to cook. That's what they were trying to do over and over again. I'm going to cook this guy. And Tatum tried to cook Kyrie over and over and got him a few times, but I thought Kyrie stepped up in a big way too on that end.
Yeah, and Reggie mentioned it earlier. It's those paint touches. It's attacking the rim. It's collapsing the defense. It's all the things that we've grown to know and love from Kyrie all season long, and it's been the case for the last 2 games. And yeah, I think he drew an offensive foul on Tatum at one point. Like he did a good job defensively, and the 2 stars were both locked in defensively. And Tatum was 4 of 10. It felt worse. Like I'm just gonna be real with you. Tatum
he really only takes 10 shots.
3 turnovers as well. You know what? I'll just save my comments.
Well, I mean, one of the things I wanted to add with Kyrie Irving. Oh. Yeah, look at that.
I was just going to be real. I don't – I'll save my comments.
Okay, all right. But one of the things I noticed with Kyrie Irving, in addition to obviously making the right plays, right, part of that Lively getting going was Kyrie finding him on the drive. I mean, I know at least one of those. Too. Yes, absolutely. One of those corner threes was Kyrie driving and kicking and really invigorating what felt like the Mavs' strategy all the way through up to this point, and something that the Boston Celtics had maybe taken away from them in a way that felt like, man, is that ever going to come back? Kyrie Irving was very pivotal in doing that, and I thought that his attention to detail and his leadership in that way, playmaking, was huge. 6 assists, it seems like, all right, that's a solid amount, but it really felt different in the run of the game. Because, again, this was an energy game. Mm-hmm. This is when, and keeping those things going and allowing Lively to go and really punch home a dunk or things like that, those are things that kept them going, allowed them to balloon the lead, because they've had leads in this series.
Yeah.
And the Celtics have punched back.
The Mavs have scored more points in this series so far.
Is that true? After
that is correct.
Yeah, right.
Correct, yeah.
All right.
No, that was true during the third quarter of this game.
Well, by aggregate, we're up. We go European soccer rules.
There you go.
We are up,
right.
baby.
The goal scored. You'll go find the goal scored.
Yep.
But yeah, I thought that they kept the energy at the right place where it didn't allow the Celtics to it didn't creak that door open for them to go.
No,
and
they never let them
slip into it.
That's very true, because you could feel it in the building in Game 3 when the Mavericks got that hot start in Game 1, and then the Celtics clawed their way back in. It was a 1-point game at the end of the first quarter. You could feel it in the building here we go. Like this should be a bigger lead. So yeah, the Mavericks did a great job tonight, and Kyrie was instrumental in that. And a great win, man. And you win an NBA Finals game, that just feels really good to say. It doesn't matter the direction of the series. It just feels really good to say. And you never know. You win Game 5 in Boston, you just make it as uncomfortable. That's just what I want at this point. Make it as uncomfortable as possible. Take it game by game.
Yep.
And you come back here for a Game 6, and it people are sweating.
Sure.
People are definitely
Don't be the first one, right? Don't be the first one to lose a 3-0 lead. That's what it came to. But it does feel like the Mavs, they got what they needed for a win. They found a couple things, maybe. But
like Tim shooting, like, look, I'm sorry. I know it sounds like a bit, but sincerely, I saw once Mazzulla waves the white flag. You have Jayson Kidd then put in bench players, and one of the first ones to come in, Hardy, and then Tim Hardaway Jr. And I love that move because I was watching Tim Hardaway Jr. shooting pregame, and pregame warmups aren't always an indicator of what's going to happen during the game. Hell, the pregame warmups that I saw, Tim Hardaway Jr. was shooting and missing, and you could see he was like gritting his teeth. Like he just felt like he couldn't find his rhythm. And I was like, this is a perfect time. Get him in game. Let him get shots up. I'm not saying that Tim Hardaway Jr. is now your sixth man off the bench in game 5.
He's back.
Right? I'm not saying that.
20 minutes.
But we've seen this team go power outage shooting-wise.
True.
Yeah.
And when Kidd goes searching, you want to have – it's nice to have a Tim Hardaway Jr. that if it's like – even if it's last case scenario or whatever, right – Tim can go in, and if he's shooting like this, that's something that can balloon you and get you back into games. And I think that it's better to have him shooting like that than have him shooting like he was in for games 1 through 2. And previously in the series, last time he had made a 3 in this season was May 18th.
Is that true?
That is 100%
He's barely
correct.
played. Like,
what?
He hasn't played.
It's been a month. Well, I'll say this too. Regardless of what happens the remainder of the series, that was an awesome experience in the building. Tim Hardaway's little burner there, that was incredible. That really was.
And it gets the fans back into it. It gets the
That's
belief.
some of the loudest it was in this building the entire night was Tim. And then every time he touched the ball, it was just.
Because there's no pressure. And to me, that's why Tim hit a bunch of shots, because there was no pressure. There's no pressure in the moment. But
he's a shooter, man. That's mentality.
To Reggie's point, you see some go down, and who knows? Like maybe he gets some early minutes. Just maybe Kidd tries him out in game 5. He gets some early minutes. He hits a 3, maybe 20 seconds left in the first quarter of game 5, and all of a sudden it's like, oh, Tim might be feeling himself.
Just needs the rhythm, maybe. But it allowed the fans like, oh, there's nothing riding on this game anymore because it's decided. So okay, now I can get back and enjoy it, because it did feel like there was some tight sphincters from the fans. This whole
just PTSD.
The whole game, right? It's like, hey, this is gonna go down at a certain moment. I was texting some Mavs fans going like, I don't care what the lead is. I'm going to be still nervous about this game.
You want to know something funny? The Celtics fans behind me in the third quarter like, just get this down to 23. That's what they were saying. But I'm like, is that really how they
it's a
feel?
3 to cut it to 41.
That's right.
But they were being dead serious, like, just get this to 23. I'm like, oh my God.
But with their offense, they should be able to. Boston's offense just couldn't get anything done this whole game. But
Mavs took away threes. I was super impressed. Like, they hit
so
many of the notes that you knew that they were trying to and that you felt that were possible. And I think that showing definitively that it's possible has got to make you feel good going to Boston in Game 5.
That makes me interested, again, going back to rewatches, if they did do like a soft zone or something. Because it did feel a little bit more pronounced, like just where everyone was stationed on the court and how everyone moved around. I'll have to go back and watch because I don't know. But
a zone would be really bad against the Celtics team.
Not necessarily like a 2-3 zone, but I'm saying just a variation of a zone defense, because it just felt a little bit different.
It really is just attention to detail, right?
Yeah.
They've been doing a lot of switching and trying to scramble, rotate, and like kick some guys out of certain matchups. They just have paid more attention. In Game 3, how many times did we see someone just get lost and lose their man?
Yes.
That didn't happen tonight. It really was just the attention to detail and the intensity that they played with. It really just felt like Jayson Kidd's been saying that. Like I hate to get to that place, but this is what he's been talking about. They have to find that from within, and they did in this game.
We'll be back with more on Locked On Mavs. Now that they've won, we'll continue to do episodes all throughout the weekend and all that.
We ain't done.
I already booked my flight to Boston. I did it in the middle of the third quarter, so I'll be there in Boston, and we'll do episodes from there as well. Guys, thanks so much for listening to Locked On Mavs.
Peace out.
Boom.
3-man weave. Undefeated. That's not true.